Donald Trump gave a speech yesterday, an important economic speech, and I doubt many of you heard anything about it. Now, Generalissimo is going to put most of it on his podcast today, Dwayne's World, so you can hear it all there. So go get Dwayne's World. I'm going to play some of it right now. No, I can't play all of it. It was a long speech, an important speech. The former president laid out the economic vision for Trump term 2. Let's start with cut number 16. Donald Trump at the New York Economic Club, which is where people go to make economic policy. Cut number 16.
Nearly two-thirds of the jobs created under the Harris-Biden administration were bounce-back jobs. Bounce back. They were bounce-back jobs that I handed them from before the pandemic. This happens with pandemics. You have bounce-back jobs. The pandemic comes and it goes, and those people go back to their jobs. And just last week, Joe Biden admitted that on social media. I don't know if he knew what he admitted, but that's what it said. I wonder who drew it. Perhaps that person is no longer employed by the Democrats. But right now, it's even worse than that. Under Kamala Harris's policies, 3 million workers are now missing from the job force compared to 2020. 3 million workers, that's a lot. Over 500,000 fewer people have full-time jobs today than just 1 year ago, and 100% of the net job creation in the past year has gone to illegal migrants. Think of that. 100% of the jobs created under this administration has gone to illegal migrants that came into our country.
Now, let's keep going now. He's going to talk about energy, and this is where the huge contrast. The only way to bring down prices is to produce more energy and lower the world cost of oil dramatically. We got to overproduce to drive down the cost of oil so that the cost to produce everything we consume and the cost to transport everything we get goes down. That's how you lower prices. Here's Donald Trump on energy yesterday, cut 21.
First, I will end Kamala Harris's anti-energy crusade and implement a policy of energy abundance, energy independence, and even energy dominance. We have more liquid gold under our feet than any other country, including Russia and Saudi Arabia. We'll be using it. My plan will cut energy prices in half or more than that within 12 months of taking office. It will be an economic revival of our country like no one has ever seen before.
Stop right there. Boy, do we need that. I'm looking at markets this morning. I'll do the market report in the next segment. But I'll tell you, we have got to get back to growth. We're going to tip into a recession, I think. I expect maybe the Fed will. The jobs report comes out later today, and if it's another bad jobs report, because it's been going down, 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 they revised all the numbers. It's all been fake for a year. I think we're already in a recession, I think. But we will find out more later today. Then Trump went to the ridiculous EPA attempt to destroy America's power industry, cut 22.
Under the EPA's so-called power plant rule, more than 50 power plants have been shut down since she took office, and virtually all coal-fired power plants will be shuttered in the next couple of years, setting the stage for a catastrophic energy shortfall, which we already have, that will make inflation far worse than it has ever been.
Okay, keep going, because this is the key part, what he's going to do with the Green New Deal that got passed, the so-called misnamed Inflation Reduction Act, cut number 23.
Second, to further defeat inflation, my plan will terminate the Green New Deal, which I call the Green New Scam, greatest scam in history probably, a $10 trillion scam that we waste, we throw like throwing money right out the window. It actually sets us back as opposed to moves us forward. And rescind all unspent funds under the misnamed Inflation Reduction Act, which the Democrats agreed after it was approved that it wasn't for that purpose, it was for other purposes like giveaways. Kamala spent $7.5 billion to build 8 charging stations. Think of a charging station.
You know, they argue that they built 64 charging stations. That's their big retort. It's not 8, it's 64. I don't care. It was wasted, and inflationary. Now, I want you to pay particularly close attention if you're in Scranton and you're listening on the Bull Gold Media's The Talker on 94.3, or you're listening in Erie, Pennsylvania on Talk Erie 103.3 and 105.9 and 1530 a.m. Donald Trump is going to turn your state into a giant engine of economic growth because he's going after fracking big time, and he's going to stop blowing up the power plants. He's going to get people back to work in Pennsylvania and producing and working. And if you elect Kamala Harris president, just say goodbye to the Keystone State. Back to the key thing, the best thing he said yesterday, cut 25.
Third, I will launch a historic campaign to liberate our economy from crippling regulation. My first term, I pledged to cut 2 old regulations for every 1 new regulation, and we did much better than that, as I've said. Yet over the past 4 years, Kamala has added $6,300 a year in regulatory costs onto the backs of the typical American family. Think of that.
I think it's actually higher than that because of the cost of housing, where regulations by the EPA, the Army Corps of Engineers, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service work to effectively keep the housing shortage everywhere, driving up housing prices everywhere. But he'll get at that. He'll take the axe back to regulations. Cut number 26. This is the key.
The fifth pillar of my plan is to make the Trump tax cuts permanent. They are massive tax cuts, biggest ever, permanent. And to cut taxes even more, and we will have no tax on tips, something which they copied 4 weeks after I said it.
I love that. He's not going to let him forget. It was his idea. They stole it because it matters a lot in places like Nevada and other places, wherever anyone is a service worker. You know, we left a tip last night at Street and Company, and whoever got that tip is going to get taxed on it unless Donald Trump wins, because the Democrats won't pass it. Kamala Harris was talking up in an attempt to stop her hemorrhaging. By the way, 3 new national polls yesterday. Emerson, Rasmussen, Morning Consult, they're all within the margin of error. One's got Trump ahead, two's got Harris ahead, but it doesn't matter because statistically insignificant. They're tied nationally, which means Trump is ahead, but I think he's winning Pennsylvania and Georgia handily. One more cut from the speech yesterday. Cut number 30, this matters especially for Pennsylvania, Georgia, and South Carolina.
We will ensure that the United States has a giant steel industry, an aluminum industry, a manufacturing base, and a defense base. We want a industrial base that can take care of our defense needs 100%. And you can call it what you want. Some might say it's economic nationalism. I call it common sense.